All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 42 of the Pro Go Baduk Weiqi podcast. We have Xiao Dai and the
Gaza.
but Gaza. Gaza, last week we got up to Kisei final game 2, day 1. So we should resume our coverage of the game by looking at what happened in day 2. Now, Gaza, we both had a guess of what the move was for White. So this is the position as it ended on day 1, and Shibano has submitted his sealed move, and Shibano is white, Ichiriki is black. So we both guessed the sealed move right, didn't we, Gaza?
We actually got it. We actually got it right. Yes.
Yes, unbelievable. So the sealed move was this to block black. Now I just looked at AI's recommendation. It's actually very interesting. It says that Ichiriki, instead of jumping here right away, Ichiriki should Hane first, and then when white blocks, and then go play there. So it seems like AI thinks that taking this point is actually quite important. But
I feel that I actually feel that the last move that Ichiriki played on day 1 really set the tone for the entirety of day 2.
Right. And why? How's that? Why is that?
Because it turned out to be a big fight on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Which, like, the stones now in that region, black and white stones, are very unsettled. It's not immediately clear what black will gain or what white will gain from that area. And with that sort of move by Ichiriki on the second line, basically he really committed to making a big disruption in sort of White's area there. And then in the end, Shibano, with his sealed move, he was sort of committed to separating black and trying to get all of that territory on the right. And in the end, like, both players committed to fighting that area, and we'll see in the moves in day 2. I think this fight sort of determined the entire game.
Yeah. So obviously, as we looked at last time, I mean, this seems like kind of black pulling down or doing something here is the only kind of move, and I just didn't know what happens if white cuts, but Shibano didn't cut; he just wedged first. I guess it's kind of similar. So it ended up being, I think it looks like ended up being that Ichiriki needed to sacrifice his black group, but he needed to do it in a good way. So I think this fight is actually really interesting. So yeah, and it's just some crazy fighting over here, and I think ended up that Ichiriki's group's probably going to be captured in a capturing race, but we'll see how Ichiriki uses this group. So now this is very interesting because Ichiriki now can make a huge area here and attack this one stone. This 4 stone looks like it's not alive, but because it's connected to these black stones, all Shibano have to do is just capture these black stones. So which only has one,
so those
2,
4
3.
stones, those 4 stones are definitely
well,
they're alive. So
the
question then is how much damage can they do?
Of course, white doesn't want black to seal to kind of get sealed in, because black still has a move like something like this that can potentially cause trouble for white.
That move has been that area in the top right, that white area in the top right, is sort of it's still not fully settled. Is that right? Or because
if I'm not wrong, like this might be able to kill white. But
Yes, because
but of course black's not so flash either over here. You know, so it's a tricky one, I think. Yeah.
it is a tricky one, and I wish we tried to read this out beforehand.
Yeah,
Um,
but you see later on that it's even Ichiriki must have thought that he can't kill it cleanly, because otherwise yeah, this move is actually quite hard to deal with. I guess you can fight the Ko, but I'm not sure if this is such a good idea for white. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. But anyway, it obviously black cannot a white cannot let black get too strong over here and get this. If black become too strong here, then this kill might become a possibility. But so yeah, white jumps out a little bit, and then black starts attacking this white stone, which is kind of the last area for which black can make a huge territory, just in the middle over here. And I think Shibano played really, really well over here. So Ichiriki obviously trying to put some pressure on white. And like honestly, I just don't see how white can live cleanly, right? But the way that Shibano plays is just really quite beautiful. He causes some trouble for black. Okay. And now AI didn't really like Ichiriki's connection over here. So AI wants Ichiriki to play here, which ended up with a result where right runs out, but Ichiriki settles and comes into the corner a little bit. This is kind of becomes really hard to assess. But Ichiriki thought that he can kind of capture these white stones, but look how beautifully Shibano played. Now when I looked at this Kifu, obviously this Hane is very tempting, but for some reason, Ichiriki probably was feeling that this run out might be a bit too painful for some reason. I'm not quite sure, or maybe he wasn't too scared about his run out. Maybe he was thinking about something else. But it felt like that AI also likes this Hane. But Ichiriki decided to play here. So which obviously now this run doesn't work, but I'm not sure what else is Ichiriki trying to prevent over here with this move. But AI didn't like this move at all. And Shibano now basically Ichiriki read quite well, because Ichiriki correctly realizes that he can actually kill these stones. But look at how how beautifully Shibano played. Firstly, he asked some questions of black to get some extra free points over here, and then he kind of activate this RG over here. Now I don't know exactly how this RG thing works, but Ichiriki just didn't connect. He instead decided to capture these stones cleanly, and I think after this point, Ichiriki is definitely behind. But you kind of have to be very good at like positional judgment to kind of realize that's Ichiriki's behind. But obviously this capture would be very big for white. So yeah, so it does. I don't know if it's a fair trade, but if Ichiriki already had most of this area sealed up, but it just kind of lost this group, then it does feel like Shibano's gained more from this. But whatever it is, Shibano just played really nicely. He kind of gave up this group and just gained lots of benefits over here and captured Ichiriki's group, or the majority of it. Yeah, and now Ichiriki tries this. I think maybe it's not gonna work so well now. Yeah. So when white connects, because white jumped out here, maybe this turn is too hard for black to handle, I'm guessing. So black sealed this off. So now white blocks. I think white is now alive. Actually, when I looked at this, I didn't know whether white was alive. I thought black could do something like this, and then like this, pull back. Yeah, this throw-in doesn't work, obviously. So I thought black would be in some kind of trouble.
White, you mean?
White would be in some kind of trouble. Then what happens here? Black's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 liberties. White's got 1, 2. Yeah, no. I thought this wouldn't work for White. So maybe White just needs to do this, or maybe like that. No, I'm not quite sure now what to do now, because it doesn't seem to work. Yeah. So I just don't know what's happened. Maybe someone stronger can tell me what's happening.
Well, I mean, can you play out the sequence again?
Yeah, Peep here,
Yeah. So, and then White
blocks here,
blocks. Yeah, and then Black
pulls back.
continues. White. Say instead of the throw in, just connect on the second line. So obviously Black connects.
Yeah.
And then don't you
just-
have to play? Yeah, don't you have to play there?
Yeah. Don't throw in there, I guess.
Or can you even peep first at the 1-2 point?
That's possible, I guess. So now what's happening with the capturing race? So 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yeah, okay. That doesn't look good. Yeah, so maybe Black's in trouble. So maybe that's why kind of Ichiriki has to kind of add one more move here, and then White connects, and White's fully alive. So yeah, so it's good reading by Shibano probably. I didn't go through the sequence, but
it's good reading by both players.
Yeah. Well, and then I think by this point, I think Shibano Ichiriki knows that he's behind on points, that he's not really catching up. So he just tried a few things, and I think based on the commentary I've read, none of them were really gonna work. So yeah, and they just kind of to play out a few more moves, and then Ichiriki resigned here. So it's a good win by Shibano. He just played really well. How he kind of sacrificed his stones, but captured Ichiriki's stones here. In that exchange, he gained a lot of points. So yeah, well played. And he was very, very calm and collected with how he handled this White group when Ichiriki made a desperate attempt to win the game, but he managed to play this all correctly. So well done to Shibano.
I thought this was a good 2-day game.
Yep, good 2-day game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some when it's a 2-day game, you do want to see some complexity and some some moves that require deep thinking. I think there was one move. I don't remember which move it was on the second day where Shibano spent over an hour, I think, and that was on either side of the lunch break as well. So
yeah,
he thought for like 20 minutes, and then they had the 1 hour lunch break, and then he thought for another 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Yeah, it's he's done that before. One time in a 3-hour game, he spent almost 2 hours on a single move.
Yeah.
Just hard to fathom how you could do that, but he's able to do it, and he won both. He won this game, and he won the other game where he spent almost 2 hours on a move.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he can calculate. He can read really deeply.
Yeah. I do wish there was a pro level commentary on that showcases why Ichiriki can't kind of save both groups now after Shibano Atari. Maybe there's some kind of sequence here where if Ichiriki tries to save this group, then this group gets saved. But I couldn't find that sequence. But hopefully there will be a pro commentary on that. We can find out more. So, Gaza, I think it might be time to move on from this Japanese scene and talk about something that's happened over the last week, which is a bit sad, and that is the legend Kwon Kapyong, 9 Dan. He has passed away. Now he's actually, I don't know why this picture has his face cut off, but he's actually quite famous in that he ran a dojo, and these are some of the names that that came out of his dojo. So we have Lee Se-do, Won Song-jin, Choi Jeong, Park Hong-sek, Kang Dong-yun, Kim Ji-sok, Park Jun-hwan, and all of these are world champions at one point in their career, and plus 50 pros. 50 plus
Yeah.
pros.
Also, a women's world champion, Yoon Young Seon
Right. Yeah.
of Yoon, and she's now in Europe. So some of the European viewers may know her.
Yep.
Um, yeah, she was I think she was Korea's first, really good women's player.
Right. Right.
Bit of a pioneer, but yeah, Kwon Kapyong, like almost all the top players, born from the mid '80s to the early '90s,
Yep.
almost all of those top players came through his dojo.
Yep.
So like 7 open world champions and a women's world champion. Other players like Lee Eunkyo,
Yep.
Yoon Junsang,
Right.
and even the Taiwanese player Chen Shiwan
Yep.
went through his dojo.
Yep.
So many pros
Yep.
trained by him. Just yeah, and he himself wasn't a top pro. He actually
He's 9 Dan, by the way.
he actually got his 9 Dan certificate 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he never won a title himself. But
Right.
in terms of a trainer and a teacher, he was probably the best that Korea's ever had.
Yeah.
Certainly the most prolific. Yeah, just
Legend.
really, real legend and a real huge contributor to the success of Korea in top level professional Baduk.
Yep. 100%.
He also has his daughter Kwon Ho-jin.
Yep.
Is a 7 Dan professional. She's now one of the team captains she's a team captain of one of the women's Baduk League teams.
Yep.
Yep.
And Kwon was very much a pioneer in how he runs the dojos and his training methods. Now, I'm not sure how true this is, but when I heard that a lot of the Chinese dojos were actually modeled after his dojo. So you can see that the success of the Chinese players from the Guli onwards, they kind of came from a little bit from the kind of dojo era. Maybe Guli less so, but Guli, I probably was still trained in the Chinese sports school system somewhat. But he's kind of got involved in some of the dojo stuff as well. And of things like Chen Yao Ye's generation, Kerjie's generation, that generation came through from the definitely the dojo era in China, which were supposedly modeled after his methods. Now, there was a very interesting thing that I found out about Kwon, and that I found out from I can't remember where it was from. It might have been from Lee Sedol's autobiography. So basically what happened was, supposedly Kwon is actually a very strict teacher. He gets his pupils to do life and death every day, and a set amount of exercises they have to go through. But with Lee Sedol, he kind of realizes that Lee Sedol's personality is that he's very what do you call it, anti authority, and anti. Lee Sedol really dislikes that regimented disciplined way of training. So he kind of modify his style for Lee Sedol and just let Lee Sedol do his own thing. And we all saw how successful Lee Sedol eventually became. So I think he's great at just bringing up the next generation, but he doesn't have a fixed way of doing it. In fact, he was very flexible. Maybe that was part of his greatness.
Yes, he definitely got the most out of
a lot of players,
the students and the players.
Yeah, 100%. There's a comment that says Kwon Kapyong is the Minoru Kitani of Korea. Yes, that's
Minoru Kitani was Minoru Kitani, obviously Japanese. He was a sensational teacher, but he was just as sensational a player.
Correct. He was a contemporary of Go Sagan, of course.
Yes. But Minoru Kitani was at one point, right up there as the best in Japan.
100%.
But yeah, in terms of raising basically a generation of champions, you could certainly compare them. Yeah.
And I mean, we've spoken a lot about Kwon Kapyong's greatness, and I think it's of course said he's passed away, but also I think a person is not complete without painting both sides of the picture. So there was after his dojo got successful, he of course he kept a manual of life and death problems and what's it called Yosei problems that he gives to his students. So some of them were supposedly his own creation. He's created some of these problems. So he got invited to publish his set of problems in Japan. And I do believe what's happened was one of his books had to be pulled from the shops because he admitted to copying one of the problems from a Japanese author. So that was probably not something that's gone so well for Kwon. But that's another thing that's kind of happened. All right, Gaza. So we've mentioned a lot about Kwon Kapyong. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about Mr. Kwon?
No, I guess not really. But yeah, just listing off his students again. Yeah, like Lee Se-dol, Kim Ji-sok, Kang Dong-yoon, Park Jun-hwan, Won Song-jin, Choi Cho-han, Baek Hon-suk. Yeah, that's a
huge list.
I don't even know how many world titles that is. It's got to be at least 20.
Yeah. So overall a great man. So I'll say goodbye. Unfortunately, and he passed away at the age of 66. So so that's
but he was it says he had a chronic illness. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm guessing that it was known that he was not well. I don't know the details though. So.
Yeah. So okay, well, it's time to say goodbye, and Gaza, we might move back to Japan to look at the women's Kisei final game 2.
Yes, this was perhaps one of the most anticipated games of the week.
Yeah.
Perhaps the most anticipated game of the week, actually, not including the
scraping of the bottom of the barrel. Are we?
Well, not really, because this is a women's major.
Yeah.
But the now this is game 2.
Yeah.
Of the women's Kisei final. Now, I do want to say something, not about the actual game itself, but the broadcasting.
Yeah.
So this is game 2 of the women's Kisei. We talked about game 1 in an earlier podcast. I think maybe it was the last podcast.
Yeah.
And Ueno Asami won that game.
Yeah.
So she's ahead 1-0.
Yeah.
And it is a best of 3. So game 2 is a must-win for Sumire.
Yeah.
Now, game 1 was available on YouTube. So you could follow the stream live.
Yeah.
Game 2 was not, however.
Right.
I'm not sure, but was it possible that it was only on you had to pay?
Correction, Gaza. I'm pretty sure it was on YouTube. It was on it might have been on the Go Ego Shogi channel. Paid
it
YouTube
was
page.
On YouTube because I remember trying to find it.
Yeah, I have it on YouTube, but it was definitely on a paid channel, and it was like 450, about 300 something yen per month. So I paid for that, and I got the streams for that game. Yeah.
Yes, but but it wasn't free on YouTube, right?
No, it wasn't free on YouTube, but it was on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes, but that's what I meant. It wasn't on. There wasn't a free stream. You had to pay for it.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
So I didn't. Yeah, I didn't end up watching the stream that time. I think it was on. Was it on Thursday?
Yeah, it might have been. I can't remember what it was.
It was on Thursday. Yes. Yeah. For some reason, I didn't end up. I followed the game a little bit. Actually, I did follow the game a little bit, but I haven't reviewed it in depth. I believe you have, but it was a very exciting game,
Mm.
an exciting Yosei battle.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, we don't want to keep you in suspense, but Sumire actually won game 2.
Yeah.
She won it by, and she won it by half a point. And
Half a point. Yes.
yeah, it was yeah, she was holding on. I think she was holding on to a half point advantage for for quite a while deep into the end of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite exciting. And remember, this is a fast time control. I think it's 30 seconds a move.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty impressive, Yosei by Sumire. But can we have have you reviewed the game?
No, I haven't reviewed the game, but I was gonna just talk about a couple of moves that I wanted to talk about because it I just want to show the viewers what I thought Sumire's strategy was, because it feels like he's got a very clear strategy to avoid the Ueno's hammer girl style. So yeah, but Gaza, is there any point you wanted to talk about?
No points, no actual specific points in the game because,
Yeah,
like I said, I was only following it briefly, unfortunately.
yeah,
But I'll let you go through it.
yeah.
Go
So
go through
like,
the important bits.
no, there was, I think the overall impression I got from this game was that Nakamura Sumire, he wanted to really avoid kind of getting in a situation where Ueno Asami has a really clear attacking target. So he's played quite solidly. So in the beginning, he kind of just harnessed over here to make his group completely safe. And I want to show another move later on where she did that. Like she just plays like this move over here. Like this move, it feels kind of a bit small.
Sumire is white,
Smear
right?
is white. But this is actually a really solid move because like imagine if black can jump in and then you you clamp and all that stuff. So yeah, with this move, it's really hard for black to keep attacking this white group, or to make this white group into an attacking target. So this is actually really very 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 interesting kind of move. It looks slow, but it's actually really really solid. So she's tries to play really solid, to not give a attacking target, which is might be a right strategy. So look at this move again over here. It's all about making her shape very complete, very safe. So it's like I just want to keep myself solid, so I don't get chased around by you, and make sure that your strength in attacking don't get to be on show in this game. So that felt like Sumire's very clear strategy. She's just trying to keep herself really solid. Yeah. So, and it ended up being, as you said, a Yosei battle. Like and I think again with the Yosei, it's very very hard to assess what's happening. But I do find this move to be a little bit odd. This black move here by Ueno Asami. I don't know if she's kind of scared that white might be able to do something like push through and then Atari. I don't know. Maybe she thinks that this is actually a little bit some kind of danger over here, but I don't fully see it. Like but whatever it was, she played here. So even AI thought it was a bit slow. It was trying to prevent something that wasn't that big anyway. It might just be a Yosei. So, and I think the bigger move might have been somewhere around here, as suggested by the AI. But anyway, what happened was that Sumire ended up getting this move. So that felt like the beginning of the end in terms of the Yosei. But of course, there's the AI graphs keeps going back and forth, back and forth. It's ended up being a half a point game. So that shows you how close it was. But whatever it is, Sumire ended up winning a game. So she's now only one game away from winning her first ever title. Gaza, isn't that really exciting?
Well, it's also another milestone for Sumire.
Yeah.
We've mentioned this before. This is her third final
Yeah.
in a tournament.
Yeah.
She was in the women's Meijin final already.
Yeah.
She lost that to Rina Fujisawa 2-0, probably not unexpected.
Mm.
Then she was in the domestic Senko Cup final, which she lost. That's a one-game final. She lost to New Echo.
Yeah.
So this is actually the first time she's won a game in a final.
In a final, wow. Yeah.
So this is a milestone
Yeah.
for Sumire. It may not sound like much, but remember she's still only 13, and she's just it is. I think people take for granted just how much she's already achieved. If people aren't aware, Sumire obviously she's quite popular because she turned pro extremely young at 10.
Yep.
And she actually turned pro not through the usual system in Japan is through like an Insei group.
Yep.
And then they have sort of exams or something like that. And the people that finish at the top get promoted, something like that.
Yeah.
Sumire wasn't in that Insei program at all. I think she was selected through a very special program, very special program looking for prodigies.
Yep.
And then this program involved, many sort of people who were trying to judge the strength of these very young potential players, and I believe even a Yama Yuta was involved in evaluating and recommending Sumire. And she's far and away demonstrated that this program or whatever it was that chose her to turn pro was a really it's really worked wonders.
Yeah.
Because she seems to she's done. If you look at all the other players that have turned pro, are in the same year as her and later, I don't think any of them have even come close to achieving what Sumire has achieved. And I remember people suggested, if Sumire did go into the Insei program, people with wondering, maybe they didn't put her in the Insei program because she was so young and it would have been a bit demoralizing for her to lose.
Yep.
To other Inseis.
Yep.
But someone suggested that perhaps it was the converse. It would have been demoralizing for all the other Inseis because Sumire probably would have beaten most of them.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, it really is incredible just how strong she is already.
Yeah.
At 13. She's already won. She's won over 100 professional games.
Yep.
And she's competing in her third women's major final. Just
already
really astonishing. And she's made it to the final 16 of a world major.
Yeah, crazy
as
stuff.
well.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people, most of the people that I know that are aware of this final are cheering for Sumire.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good that there's going to be a game 3, and game 3 will be held on Monday, not this coming Monday.
Yeah.
For those that are watching the podcast early, but the 6th of June.
Yeah, 6th of.
Hopefully,
6th
hopefully.
of February.
Oh, did I say June? Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought June because June's the 6th month, but the 6th of February.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 6th of February. So in 9 days from the recording of this podcast.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be a stream, but even if there's not, I'll definitely be watching the live Kifu because there will be a live Kifu for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I think they'll do nigiri again, so I don't think it'll be known who's black and who's white in that game.
Yeah.
Until they start playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is well, Sumire has an actual chance. She has a chance.
Yeah. Let's see.
I still think Ueno Asami's the favorite. She doesn't seem like the kind of person that gets nervous.
Mm.
Compared to other players, but it'll be an exciting game for sure.
Yeah. So let's see if it's gonna be third time lucky for Sumire. So that's it for the women's Kisei final. So and Gaza, staying on the theme of Japan. We had Japan play again yesterday in the Korean Baduk League, didn't we? And
we had so we had the Korean Baduk League now. So we've had a few 4 or 5 matches since the last podcast in the Korean Baduk League.
Yep.
And we have a couple of things worth noting.
Yep.
Firstly, we're still only about each team has only played 4 games. Some of them have only played 4 matches. Some of them have only played 3 matches.
Yeah.
But every team has already lost a match.
Right.
Nobody has won all of their matches. I think the last team was Choi Jeong's team, Korea Zinc.
Yep.
They were the last team to lose a match. They lost to Team Wonick.
Yep.
So everyone's got a match loss.
Right. Yeah.
On them, but that's all right. It's meant to be a fairly even tournament.
Mm-hmm.
An even league is always an exciting league. It's a good league.
Yep.
And on the converse, every team has won a match with the exception of one team. Of the 12 teams, 11 of them have won a match. Unfortunately, the team that is yet to win is Team Japan.
Yes, Team Japan.
And yesterday was another chance to get their first win. And unfortunately, they fell very short of that. They were playing Baduk Mecca, who they'd had a slow start to the league. I think they were the second last team to win a match.
Right.
I think they won a match. Yeah, they beat Taigem on Sunday.
Yep. To
get their first win, and their next match was yesterday against Team Japan.
Yep.
And Team Japan, they brought out their 4 best no, not their 4 best players, but they brought out some of their good players. So they brought out Seki Kitaro, obviously the current major Tengen champion.
Yep.
And Yuki Sakai.
Yep.
Who I think he's won 2 or 3 games. Like he hasn't lost a game yet.
He's won 2 games. Yep.
Yeah, so he was the informed player.
Yeah.
For Team Japan. They had and then they had Koike Yoshihiro and Chang Roiji. Neither of whom have actually won a game yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was expecting good things from Seki Kitaro and Yuki Sakai. Yuki Sakai actually had quite a not so good game, I think.
I think it was leading, and then he.
Oh, no, that's the. Oh yeah, no, he was.
He was leading, and then he lost it. I think Seo Hyun-jun was able to confuse the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly why he where he went wrong.
Yep.
But
yeah, Yuki Sakai. That's he just he didn't play so well. He almost had. I'm a little bit surprised because I'm having trouble finding this game on Fox, and I don't know why. It should just be on there. But yeah, it should just be on Kifu Depot. Yeah, I think he was actually doing quite well. He before he had lost it. So this is the game, Yuki Sakai. So Yuki Sakai here is white. Hyo Seo Jun is black. So they play common interest.
Seo Hyun Jun.
Hyo Seo Hyun Jun.
Seo Hyun Jun.
Seo Hyun Jun, yes. Yeah, so they actually played quite well as white because he actually kind of just I think he ended up capturing some black stones over here in the middle. Well, when I say yes, he ended up capturing a bunch of black stones here. So at this point, white is already leading by quite a bit. But Hyo Seo Jun, he just played quite well. What?
Seo Hyun Jun.
Seo Hyun Jun, yes. So you see how he as black he played quite well. He how he kind of just cut off white over here and then bang, and now white's cut off. And now because white cut off, white has to live with this group over here. And what that meant was that this white group on the outside is now not fully alive. And so it ended up being a capturing race. But I think even as a capturing race, if Yuki Sakai had played all the right moves, he could have actually won it. But apparently he just missed on an exchange. Now you see how this white group here, this actually is not alive. And you see how so this is the move to kill off the eyes. And now white's not alive, but black is also not alive. So they ended up in a capturing race. And this Seo Hyun Jun, he played really nicely here, because if Yuki Sakai had Atari this tail much earlier, then black has no choice but to connect. But at this point, black is right to just give up the tail and capture these 3 stones. So so after this, I think it's a tough game for Yuki Sakai, if I remember correctly. So he just missed this exchange of Atari. I think he should have done it earlier. But apart from that, he was after capturing that black stone here, he was leading, but it wasn't to be. He ended up losing this game. So so that was one of 4 losses for Japan. That was probably not the worst. According to the Kifu, there was also a out of time by can't remember what his name was. Koike
Yoshihiro.
Yeah. So
so this one was a disaster. This game was only
84 moves.
84 moves.
Yeah. It's the official result is lost by time, but it does feel like it's a tough one for black. I don't know.
I didn't realize at the time it was a loss on time.
Yeah.
But it's a bad position for black. That's Koike Yoshihiro.
Yeah, basically black has to win this code to capture this white, but this white one still has 5 liberties, and black is not so flash. Probably got all sealed in, probably. Yeah, even if it managed to capture, and there's also code over here. Yeah, it's really tough for black. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that. Well, the AI says that it's bad for black.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that Koike Yoshihiro just
let time run out.
No, I wouldn't. No, not let time run out. It's possible that he just was thinking.
Yeah.
When you click, just a split second too late.
Yeah.
I have seen pros do that even on when they're playing on computers. I've seen Seo Bong-soo do it in the World Senior Baduk Championships.
Right.
In that game, he was completely winning. So I can imagine that a pro can accidentally lose on time on computers. So I'm not sure if he did it intentionally.
So he lost in 84 moves.
But it's a difficult position for black. But I remember at the time seeing this Kifu, I was a little bit surprised that even though it's bad for black, there's still a ko. So you may as well just fight it out.
Yeah, you might get lucky, I guess.
So
I don't know.
yeah, so now it makes more sense why the game ended there.
Yeah.
But in any case, I mean, regardless of if it's a loss on time or a resignation, it's the result's the same. It's a loss.
Yeah. Um, and and of course, your Seki Kataro lost to Kim Ji Sok as well.
So, by the way, this game was against Lee Won
Lee
Young.
Won Young, yep.
Yeah, and yeah, so the top board was Seki Kataro
Yep.
against Kim Ji Sok. So Kim Ji Sok is actually the top player for
Yep.
Team Baduk Mecha, and Seki Kataro is the top ranked player in this Japanese team.
Yep.
Which does make sense because he is the Tengen title holder.
Yep.
But yeah, this Kim Ji Sok is still, yeah, it was probably favored to win this one still because he's Kim Ji Sok. But yeah, and in the end he did end up prevailing. I didn't follow this game closely, but Kim Ji Sok had a fairly had a bit of a lead for most of the game, not the entire game, but when it got down to the actual sort of fighting and stuff,
Yeah.
Kim Ji Sok came out on top.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was little Seki Kataro was able to do. So with those 3 games, they were the first 3 games to finish, and that cemented Baduk Mecha's win.
Yep.
3-0. So then the last game was just for pride for Japan because it didn't really matter. They were going to get 0 points for the match anyway. But it was Chang Roy-Ji versus Moon Min Jung.
Yep.
And actually, I did follow this one.
Yep.
And I actually found this one to be quite exciting. It was an interesting capturing race, despite the fact that this game did end up meaning basically nothing.
Yeah.
And the AI suggesting that Black was ahead for almost the entire game.
Yeah.
I did think it was quite an interesting co-fight.
Yeah, down here.
At the end. I want to at least... are we able to have a look at the Kifu? So, yeah, so there's a co-fight at the bottom there.
Yep.
You're quite... Okay, so this is quite late into the co-fight. But the thing is that Black is Moon Min Jung.
Yep.
And White is Chang Roy-Ji.
Yep.
And yeah, so if you go, I guess one more move, another one. Yeah, so here at this point, if you go back.
Yeah.
Where White cuts.
Yeah.
So you look at these black and white groups. Obviously, neither of them have eyes, right?
No. Yeah.
So it is a capturing race. So, well, now White can make an eye, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's a co-fight. Sorry, not a capturing race, a co-fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is quite. It is. I always feel like co-fights are. It seems to be the place where pros are most likely to go wrong. I mean, the thing is, pros very rarely go wrong, but they seem to do it slightly more often in co-fights, just slightly, than in other areas. And it's really interesting. It's really instructive and interesting to see these co-fights in any case, even when they go right, like even when they do it right, because it's so very difficult to get everything right in a co-fight, because not only do you have to play proper co-threats, but you have to play moves that sort of maintain the number of co-threats you have. Right? If you play a co-threat but it ends up lowering the number of future co-threats you have, that could be a losing move. It's very interesting, because if you go back, one of the co-threats that he played, if you go back, so one of the co-threats that he played in the upper left,
upper left over here.
So, okay, which move am I thinking of? Yeah, so like something like move 158.
Yep, 158. Yep, this one.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's 150. Oh, sorry, 159. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
like that's an interesting one because I think or maybe 165 because like that one,
Mm,
if White ignores it, I
yep,
think that entire left side is dead, right?
yep.
Yeah.
So maybe this is better.
Like the thing is, you need to have big co-threats, right? Because yeah, if White takes the co, that's a big group that White gets at the bottom.
Mm,
So you need co-threats that will be equally as dangerous or even
mm,
more dangerous,
yeah,
right? So yeah, it's pretty and these are and I believe so. I believe Moon Min Jung still had he still had like 10 or so minutes.
mm,
But I think Cheng Ro-jae was basically spending his last 20 seconds or whatever each move at this point. So
yeah,
it was good time management by Moon Min Jung, and yeah, it was always going to be difficult for black. I mean for white when you don't have much time and your opponent is clearly reading out these co-threats.
yep. Yeah. So it was a good win for Moon. Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
just had it under control most of the game.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. The AI says that he was winning. Black was winning this entire time. Um, but yeah, it is. I find it interesting because it looks like he's always one move away from disaster, but these pros have it under control.
Yep. All right.
Unfortunately, Japan though
Mm.
not only did they lose the match, but they actually lost. They didn't win a single game. This is the first time they've gone 4-0,
Yeah.
and really only Sakai Yuki um, had any sort of significant chance of winning
Yep.
in those 4 games. So
Oh
yeah,
well.
quite disappointing, and hopefully this is not setting. Hopefully this isn't setting the standard for Team
Yeah.
Japan in future. They've still got many more matches,
Yep. And in
and
fact,
this
they have one coming up like tomorrow or something. Yeah.
they do have one against POSCO Chemicals.
Yep.
That's Won Song Jin's team.
Yep.
Um, Sakai Yuki will be in that one as well. He's playing Han Woo Jin,
Yep. He's
the
playing Han
super
Woo Jin.
rookie,
Yep.
So that'll
Yep.
be an interesting one.
Yep.
And not only is there a match tomorrow, but there's actually a match on right now.
Yep.
Um, Korea Zinc, that's Choi Jeong and Shin Min Jun's team, against Team Kicks, that's Shin Jin So's team.
Yep.
So, three of the most popular players in Korea at the moment are playing. Unfortunately, none of them, they're all playing different games. So none of them are playing each other. What we can say is that Choi Jeong and Shin Min Jun both won their games,
Hmm.
um, which means Team Korea Zinc is up 2-0.
Mm.
So Team Kicks have to win games 3 and 4.
Yep.
Um, and so Shinjin So he's currently playing now. He's playing Hong Moo Jin,
Yep.
and Park Jin Sol is playing Han Wong Yu. And you would say that Park Jin Sol and Shin Jin So are both favored in those games. So it's expected that it will go 2-2.
Mm.
That will go 2-2, but we'll see.
All right.
But the game's happening right now. Um, and
Yeah.
it's on Baduk TV. So if you want to watch it,
Yeah.
We'll post it in the chat. By the way, we do read the chat.
Yeah.
Not just before the end of the stream. Sometimes we don't see it for a while, but sometimes we do. But what I'll do is I'll post the link to the Baduk TV stream. Maybe you can pin it there. As Soviet Blobfish is asking if it's 2-2, if it finishes 2-2 in a match, then they'll play a fifth match. And that's called the ace match, and that's when there's they have 1 minute of main time and 20 seconds Fisher increment. And in the ace match, both teams select a player to play the ace match. And it can be someone that's already played in one of the 4 main games, or it can be another player. And typically you want your best player to be playing in the ace match.
Yep.
And so if that was the case, we would expect to see Shin Jin-so play Shin Min-jun.
Right.
However, there is the caveat that there's a rule that that players cannot play more than 6 ace matches in a season. That they have a quota. If they end up playing, if a team ends up having more than 6 ace matches, they'll have to use different players at some point.
Yeah.
So then the question is, how do you manage your players, right? Do you just play Shin Jin-so every time until he uses up all of his 6 games, or do you try and be strategic? So if it does end up going 2-2, I can't guarantee who will be the ace player. I would expect it to be Shin Jin-so versus Shin Min-jun, but we can't be sure.
Yep. All right. So that's the Korean League. Is there any other previous results you wanted to cover, Gaza?
Yes. In Korea, not in the Korean League. Sorry, not in the Korean League.
We've got the Crown Haitai Cup coming up, which you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Crown Haitai Cup. So I believe this is an under 30 competition.
Is there not under 25?
Oh, it might be under 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be under 25. So, we have the finalists determined for that one.
Yeah.
So this is a it's a knockout competition. Yes, it is under 25. So born in 1997 or later, and it's just a knockout. So they have preliminaries. There were 91 players that entered the preliminaries. 28 of those advanced to the main tournament, along with four seeds.
Yep.
And so they had a tournament of 32, and then it was just a single game knockout to get to the 2 finalists.
Yep.
And the 2 finalists are Shin Min-jun and Park Yun-ho. So,
oh my God! So Shin Jin-so didn't even make the final.
Okay, so I'll send you a link so you can the images of the 2 players. So okay, that's a good question that you asked there. Shin Jin-so didn't make the final. Obviously, Shin Jin-so is under 25, so he is eligible for this tournament. And correct, he didn't make the final, but that's because he didn't enter the tournament.
Oh my God!
Why did he not enter? I don't know. I don't know why he didn't enter, but maybe it's just because he's not interested in these restricted tournaments anymore.
He wants to give other players a chance at winning some?
That's entirely possible. I don't think he's participated in this tournament for quite a few years now.
Right.
But it does make sense if, he's clearly the top dog in Korea. Like he's winning most of the majors, like the open majors. So it just seems, for him, perhaps it just seems a bit redundant or irrelevant to, he's winning all the open majors, no point playing in the restricted competitions anymore. He wants to play the best of the best, the best of everyone available.
Yep.
So maybe that's why. He certainly doesn't need the money.
Right. So you sent me the picture of the two finalists.
And Soviet Blobfish is saying it perhaps is a strange concept to have a restricted tournament
for younger players.
Yeah, it's So I would presume that this is mainly the direction of the sponsor.
Right.
Obviously, this is Crown Haitai. I think this is Crown Haitai Resort or something that sponsors this tournament, and it's quite possible that the sponsor has said, "We're giving you all this money. Hold for an under 25 tournament." So the Korean Kiwon, they don't really have a choice in the matter, and the prize money is good. It's 30 million won, so that's like $30,000 Australian.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like $25,000 or something like that, which is pretty good in Korea.
Yep.
So it's really at the will of the sponsors. There are senior tournaments as well in Korea. There's even an entire senior Baduk League.
Yep.
And things like the Daeju Cup. So they do accommodate for seniors as well, but yeah, obviously they accommodate for juniors quite heavily too. And this final will be between Shin Min-jun, who he's won a major tournament as well. He's actually won a world major. He won the LG Cup, and he's the current Myeongin champion. So a very accomplished player.
Yep.
Against Park Yun-ho, 6-dan, who is in the top 10 in Korea, but I don't think he's won a title.
No.
I don't think he's won any title yet, but like I said, he is top 10 in Korea. So certainly a capable player.
Yep.
And this final will be a best of 3.
Best of 3, yep.
And the first game will be in 1 week's time, on the 4th of February. Game 2 will be the following day, on the 5th of February. That's a Sunday. And then Game 3 will, if Game 3 is necessary, it will be on Wednesday, the 8th of February. So it'll be good games to look forward to on that weekend.
Yep.
And maybe we might see Park Yun-ho win his first career title, or maybe Shin Min-jun will add another one to his collection.
Yes. So that's Park Yun-ho and Shin Min-jun in the final of Crown Haitai. That should wrap up our coverage of the Korean scene for this episode, Gaza. Now, Gaza, is there anything else you wanted to say about the Korean scene?
The other two Korean tournaments that are happening at the moment, are the Maxim Cup,
right,
and the Korean Kiwon, which is a major.
Yeah,
it's a domestic major. Now, the Korean Kiwon, they still haven't gotten down to the round of 16, nor have they gotten down to the round of 16 in the Maxim Cup. So I'm not really too interested in discussing those ones just yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're good with the Korean scene, unless there's anyone in the comments that wants to discuss anything in particular.
It's fine. I mean, we don't have to go through every one of these things.
We will touch on them once they get into the pointy end, in later podcasts. Yeah,
100%. Now, Gaza, I do have some some news from outside of Asia for a change. This is the what do you call it? The 6th European Grand Prix finale, 2022. Even though, as you rightly pointed out, it's already the year 2023, but apparently it's the culmination of all the bonus point tournaments that took place in Europe. And I think you have to score the most points to qualify or something. I'm not 100% sure. But there's some pros playing in this tournament. So we have Stanislaw Frejlak. He's Polish.
Yes, he's the most recent player to turn pro in Europe.
Yeah, correct. He just won that. And we also have Ali Jabrin. I believe he might have been the first European pro.
He was the second European pro.
Second, okay. And then you've got Tengay Lekov. He's also a European pro. And this is the knockout phase of the competition. So Ali got knocked out by Lucas Potpera. Stanislaw Frejlak, I believe he lost in the group stages to Lucas. Yeah, Lucas Neirynck. But he managed to get past Cornel Bursel and then defeated Lucas in the final. And of course,
so they had a rematch in the
final.
So okay, interesting.
So Stanislaw Frejlak ended up winning the tournament. So congrats to Stanislaw.
This is a big tournament.
Yeah.
In Europe, I'm a bit sad that I missed this.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the game?
I haven't actually looked at the Kifu actually.
Fledermaus is saying this finished yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very, very it just finished.
Yeah. Now someone was saying in the comments that the W in Stanislav is pronounced like a V. So
Stanislav.
Yeah.
So his name is Stanislav, I guess.
Yeah.
Any help with pronouncing names is greatly appreciated. We're really bad at it.
Yeah, because we're bad at it.
Big congrats to Stanislav. I actually did not know about this tournament at all until today. I was kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't know about this in advance, but I guess I'll have to keep a bit more up to date with the European scene.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens, but it's very interesting that supposedly amateur made the final. So in Europe, I guess the difference between amateur and pro sometimes is a bit.
Yeah, it's very different in Japan and Korea. Like anytime an amateur, like some tournaments just aren't open to amateurs at all.
Yeah.
And the ones that are, you'll have like 200 pros and then 5 amateurs.
Yeah.
And it's just a completely different system to places like Europe, where I guess there just aren't enough pros to have, consistent tournaments. Like it just makes, with, the fact that they have 8 or 9 pros in Europe, it just makes more sense that to have proper, like consistent, proper tournaments, you need to include, you need to make them open.
Yeah. Let's hope that Europe also gets to develop a strong pro system. I mean, it's in the US, like with the new generation players like Kevin Yang, like even the Chinese media have in social media that some of them have already mentioned that the US is getting quite strong. So I wouldn't be surprised that if Europe and US continue to become stronger, they could become more competitive internationally. So and Kevin Yang has shown that he's quite competitive at the international level.
I'm not sure if there's anyone in Europe at the moment that you would consider to be like someone that would get that sort of respect from the Chinese media. Europe's top player for a long time has been Ilya Shikshin, but obviously well, not obviously, but people may know that Ilya Shikshin is currently not permitted to compete in European tournaments.
Yep.
That's because he's a Russian, and Russians are banned at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, there's really, I believe Pavol Lissi may have won a game in a world major.
No, I think it was Ilya Shikshin. He won against.
No, I know that. No, I'm not talking about. Yeah, but apart from Ilya Shikshin, I believe that Ilya Shikshin has won a game. But I'm thinking who else has from Europe, and I believe that Pavol Lissi may have done so.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't remember him winning one, but yeah.
I'm going to check. I'm pretty sure he has.
All right. Yeah, just okay. So while you're doing that, yeah, I went through the key three. Obviously, not very much in depth, but it looks like it got all the way to Yosei. So yeah, and it was not. Oh, it's actually quite a big difference. It looks like. So I didn't count obviously, but yeah. So black does look like it's got a bunch of stones here. Yeah, it's quite big, this area. Yeah, it does look like black would be leading. Yes. So a good win, and so congrats to our winners, Stanislaw, Frejlak. Yeah. So there's a chat saying that they think that Ryan Lee's and also Kevin Yang's are actually a lot stronger than most of the European players. I wouldn't be surprised because I do believe the Transatlantic League, the season 1 and 2 are both won by the US players, not North American players. So yeah.
And just my research, Pavol Lissi has competed in one world major.
Right.
That was the Chunlan Cup, and he beat Eric Louis from the US.
Very nice.
So he did win a game, but it turned out it wasn't against one of the Asian professionals. But he still won.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty good.
He lost the next round to Chen Yaoye, which is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he has won a game in a world major. Yeah, Ilya Shikshin probably has as well. But yeah, it's yeah, I'm not sure if there's ever been, this sort of potential that we're seeing, as we've seen in Kevin Yang or even Alex Chi from a Western professional before.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see that sooner rather than later. So Gaza, we covered all the news stories I wanted to cover, unless there's anything else you wanted to cover before we go into the calendar.
Well, I discussed this with you before we started this podcast. People may be surprised, but Xiaodai and I actually try and organize things to talk about in the podcast beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering if you wanted to look at the other Japanese majors and see, just have a brief update on each of them. So just to see where we are.
Yeah. The Japanese majors, of course, we know that the Kisei finals is ongoing. Even on the front page of Nihon King, it says the game 3 is on the 3rd of February. So that's something to look forward to.
So obviously with the Kisei, we've got the so as you said, we've got the final.
Yeah.
We just talked about the game 2.
Yeah.
And the next season's Kisei League, the preliminaries have begun, but it's extremely early.
Yeah.
And
the
next tournament in the majors, like basically from most prestigious to least prestigious, the next one is the Meijin. And the Meijin currently is Shibano Toramaru. And it's a 9-player league to determine the challenger.
Yeah.
And currently, most of most of the players have played. Well, they finished 2 rounds.
Yeah.
It's a 9-player league, so each round someone gets a bye. So there are 2 players that have only played 1 game. Um, but of the after the 2 rounds, Iyama Yuta and Cho Yu are both on 2 wins.
Correct.
Ichiriki Ryo and Tetsuya Shida, they're both on 1 win, but they've had a bye, so neither of them have lost a game yet.
Yeah.
Shida Tetsuya. Sorry, Ichiriki Ryo and Shida Tetsuya are both on 1 win, but they haven't had a loss.
Yeah.
So Susha Wan, by the way, he's already on 2 losses, so it looks like he won't be challenging.
Right.
And I mean, it's still early days, but it's not likely that he's going to end up being the challenger.
No, it's very unlikely. Yeah.
And also want to point out that if there is a tie, if there's a tie in wins, the top two of those, so they have a tiebreaker rank.
Yeah.
As you can see in that second last column.
Yep.
So if there are 2 players tied on the most wins, they'll have a playoff.
Yep.
If there's 3 or more, then the top 2 by that tiebreaker rank will play off.
Right.
So if there's a tie in wins at the top, there will be a playoff to determine the challenger.
Oh, very nice.
So that's the Meijin League. So there's still, there's 9 players, so each person will play 8 games. So it's still early days.
Yep.
But fans of Iyama Yuta will definitely be happy to see that he started with
2 wins.
2 wins
out of 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the next tournament, and this is actually the oldest of the majors.
Yep.
Is the Honinbo.
Yep.
And the Honinbo is held by Iyama Yuta. 11. He's won it 11 times in a row. Now this one's a bit further in.
Yep.
It's an 8-player tournament.
Yep.
So they play 7 games, and they're already halfway. They're more than halfway. They finished 4 rounds.
Yep.
And currently, Ichiriki Ryo and Yuzeng Chi are both on 4 wins.
Very nice.
Susha Wan and Shibano Toramaru are on 3 wins.
Yep.
So I mean, they're the 4 usual suspects.
Yep.
The 3 Crows and Yuzeng Chi.
Yep.
So it seems like there hasn't really been any surprises.
Yep. I see a name at the bottom of the table for both leagues, Meijin and Honinbo, Fujita Akihiko.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with him. I'm not sure if he's won any he's actually won 2 titles.
Right.
But not any majors. He's won the Rookie King, and he's won the Young Carp tournament. But yeah, he's it looks like he's qualified for both of these tournaments. He's qualified for both of these tournaments. Not doing too well in either of them, but I mean, even just making the tournaments is a pretty good achievement, regardless. So, maybe this is good experience for him. I don't think he's qualified for the majors before this year or before last year.
Right.
So,
Yep.
Wait, I'm just checking now.
Yeah, I have a vague memory about him being about 31 years old, something. I can't remember.
I don't think he's made a major tournament before. Yeah, he is 31.
Right.
So he has been around a while, but I mean, doesn't matter. Still impressive. Just making these leagues.
Yep.
Now
we have the Osa Tengen.
Next after the Honinbo, we have the Urza. Now the Urza is also held by Iyama Yuta.
Yep.
And what is So which
We're still in prelim A.
So we're still in the prelims
Yep.
for the Urza. So the
Yep.
Urza it'll be a knockout. It'll be a knockout to determine the challenger, and then there'll be a 5-game final. But we're still in the prelims.
Yep.
We're not even close to the main knockout tournament. So
Yep.
yeah, nothing to talk about there. Let's go on to the next one, the Tengen. So
Tengen.
the 48th Tengen just finished.
Yep.
Well, it finished maybe a month or two ago,
Yep.
and Seki Kitaro held on to it.
Yep.
To beat Ida Atsushi. So now despite the fact that it just finished, the Challenger knockout tournament participants have been determined.
Yep.
Or no, actually no, they've almost all been determined. I think there's a couple of games still left.
Games are still outstanding.
Yeah, just a couple, but
about three games. Yeah.
Yes, and how many people play in this tournament? Like 34.
Looks like it's 30, should be 32, but these ones looks like they might just be in their final prelim, so it kind of they have to decide.
No, I think there's 34. I think there's 2.
Right. Oh,
the first round only has 2 games.
Right, I see. Oh, yeah. First round has 2. It actually looks quite complicated because it's got Cho Yu playing someone, and that's just there, and then that's the round 1, and second round, third round. Or could it be that the prelim hasn't even finished yet? So they
No. I think there's only 2. There's only 3 games left in the prelim.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but it's a 34. It's a 34 player main tournament, but it's still knockout. So they just have
some players will have to play a bit more games.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking through to see who are the interesting participants. So we got Cho Yu participating. We got
obviously we got a Yama Yuta.
Yama Yuta.
I mean, we've got Rina Fujisawa Rina.
Fujisawa Rina's here.
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
Ueno Asami. He's going to be there. Actually, she's actually playing a Yama Yuta in the first round.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, over here.
Yeah.
We got Ichiriki playing.
Shibano's obviously playing. Sushawan's playing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's 34 players, so you're going to have the top dogs there.
Yeah.
But Kimiyo Yamada, recent 1,000 win, legend.
Yep.
He's going to be playing. He's playing Fujisawa Arena in the first round. Lots of legends here: Hiroshi Yamashiro, Ikasaka Naoto, Hane Naoki, or Naoki Hane. Sorry, I keep getting the names around the wrong way. Lots of good players. It's really a who's who of top players.
Yep.
Is Yamashita Keigo.
Yep.
Is there? Yeah, good stuff.
All right. So that's
so that's the Tengen. So we have none of the games in the Challenger knockout have started yet. So still a ways to go.
Yep.
Now next is the Gosei, and this is a Yama's title as well.
Yep.
So this might be early days as well. Okay. So this is also a knockout.
Yep.
I believe it is. It looks like it's a 29-player knockout.
Right.
And they finished the first round, so there's 16 players left.
Yep. I think that one of the interesting results is Fujisawa Arena beating Ida Atsushi.
Yeah, beating Ida Atsushi. So and she's going to be playing Ichiriki Ryo next round, who she has beaten
before. Yes.
So that'll be an interesting one. Kimiyo Yamada, yet again, he's in the final 16. Shida Tatsuya, he's in the final 16. Murakawa Daisuke is in the final 16.
It looks like Shibano is here.
Shibano beat Seki Kitaro.
Yep, so Shibano's already beaten Seki Kitaro, unfortunately.
Actually, there's one game left in the first round that hasn't been finished, and that's to determine Shibano's opponent.
That's Otake Yu versus some, I don't know.
Furua Yutaka or something like that.
Yeah,
He's Kansai Kin.
yeah. All
Um,
right.
yeah, so Cho Yu,
Yeah,
he is in the final 16. He's playing Muraka Daisuke.
yeah.
Your favorite player is in the final 16.
Konorin, I love him. He just beat Shu Chaoyuan.
Unfortunately, he beat my favorite player, Su Xiaowan.
Yeah,
And Konorin will be playing another Taiwanese expat, Yu Zhengqi,
yeah.
in the round of 16. Lots of good players here.
Mm-hmm.
And we still got lots of top players. So we got Shibano, we got Ichiriki. We got Murakawa Daisuke, we got Cho Yu. Interesting. And the winner of that will play a Yamayuta.
Yep.
Now that's the Gosei, and
Okay.
finally we have the Judan. Now I think that the Judan. Oh, did the Judan? The Judan must be. Yeah, it's really close actually. The Judan, I think, is the next major to be played.
Yeah.
And we're actually down to the Challenger final.
Yeah.
And it's between two top players, a Yamayuta and Shibano Toramaru.
Yep.
And this game's actually happening on Monday.
Yep, Monday.
And so that's to determine the challenger for the Judan title. And the Judan title is currently held by Su Xiaowan. So this is Su Xiaowan's title. He's won it. He won it 2 years ago against Shibano, and then he defended it against Yu Zhengqi.
Yep.
Shibano and Iyama, of course, both of them hold major titles themselves. So yeah, regardless of who wins, it's going to be an interesting game on Monday to determine the challenger, and then it's going to be an interesting match as well. So that one should be a fun one.
Yeah.
But in any case, that's sort of the current survey of the Japanese majors.
Awesome. And so after that, Gaza, it might be time to finally get to the calendar, which I'm excited about.
Wait, we have a question. We have a question from Survey at Blobfish. So I mentioned that Yu Zhengqi and Su Xiaowan are both Taiwanese players, but they actually play in Japan.
Yeah.
He's asking, is there not that much prospect for advancement in domestic Go in Taiwan? Well, Taiwan does have a professional scene, and they actually do have strong professional players like Zhu Haohong.
Yeah.
But I don't know the reason why players like Su Xiaowan and Yu Zhengqi decided to play in Japan. My first guess is money.
Yeah.
There's a lot more money in domestic Japan.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of sort of making a living as a professional in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But I can say that Taiwan definitely have a strong pro scene. Like it's definitely above the scene in Europe and North America, far above. It's probably, you would say it's below Japan, Korea, and China.
Yep.
But it's definitely a legitimate scene, especially for open players.
Yeah.
For the women's players, maybe it's a little bit. I think maybe it might be a little bit thin on women professionals.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, but they definitely have good professional players over there. But it's definitely not at the same strength as say Korea. So probably why you see there are some Koreans in the Japanese Kians, but not as many as the Taiwanese.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, you have to remember it's not that long ago that Japan was by far the richer country out of the China, Korea, Japan, and even Taiwan.
Well, not that long ago. I mean, it still is.
Yeah.
Just look at the prize money.
Yeah.
For the majors, I mean, some of them are over 10 million yen.
Yeah.
which is, in Australian dollars, that's $100,000.
Yeah.
Or it's about, 10 million yen is about 100 million won
Yeah.
in Korea, and there are no tournaments in Korea
Yeah.
that give out 100 million won prize money.
Yeah.
And tournaments like the Kisei give out more prize money than a world major.
Yeah.
Never mind a Korean domestic major.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, I mean, in terms of money, if you're one of the best players, you can make a lot of money in Japan.
Yeah.
In the domestic scene. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, and that's obviously not as true of Taiwan and Korea at this stage.
Oh, wait, we have another comment from Fledermaus. The pro scene ties go way back. Yes.
Yeah.
So Gosei again apparently went to Taiwan to develop the Go scene. That doesn't surprise me. That does make sense. I'm not too familiar with the history.
Yeah. Now, of course, the history of Taiwanese player playing in Japan is it's a long one. So it starts all the way from Rin Kai-ho. Of course.
Yes, Rin Kai-ho. We're one of the pioneers.
Yeah. And then you got your Cho Yu, and now
you've got Oh My-in.
Yeah,
Oh My-in. Orisei.
So it's got a rich history of that Taiwanese top Taiwanese player going to Japan and doing quite well. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that. But yeah, and of course you got your Cho Chi-kun. He's obviously Korean and went to Japan to play.
Well, Cho Chi-hoon is obviously is Korean, yes, and Cho Hun-hyun originally went to Japan.
Yeah.
But then returned to Korea and dominated the Korean scene.
Yeah.
Now we do have another question. What do the tournaments offer in Taiwan? So, like, sort of what is the prize money?
I do believe the biggest competition is in terms of prize money is what's called the Neirynck champion competition. I do believe that pays about the equivalent of about 80,000 Australian. So that would be I think it was the highest prize. It's about almost 1.5 million, 1.8 million new Taiwan dollar. So that would be roughly what I think the prize money was. It's called the Neirynck champion competition. But they have about 9.
That's actually more than the top Korean domestic tournaments. So you're saying it's about 80,000 Australian dollars?
Yeah, last time I checked, if I remember correctly.
That's I mean, the top Korean tournaments offer about 70,000. Like that's the Korea's strongest tournament and the GS Caltex Cup.
Yeah, So, of course, Xu Haohong, I believe he was in the newspaper in Taiwan recently for winning 8 tournaments. He might have taken home the equivalent of around 200,000 Australian dollars in 1 year. That's kind of the top earning Taiwanese player. Well, 200,000 Australia would probably put you, quite well. You've been one of the better off in Australia, but of course the top Japanese player like Yamauta, he could be earning over 1 million Australian per year when he was winning all of his titles. So yeah, it's still Taiwan is still a lot smaller in terms of the prize pool. So you kind of have to do well in international tournaments, and there hasn't been a huge history of Taiwanese players doing great in international tournament. In fact, Xiao Hong's record in this year's J League is like 0 for 4. So yeah, a bit.
Yeah, Xu Hong has not done well in the J League. He's done slightly better in the Korean Baduk League, but early days.
Yeah, early days. So that's the Taiwan tournament. Yeah, so I do believe that in Taiwan only like 2 or 3 players can really make a living from prize money alone, winning. So yeah, so it's not a huge list of players. In Korea, probably not that many either. So
yeah.
Okay, so that's it about the prize monies. I didn't need more questions, and we have the calendar, Gaza.
Yeah. So the calendar now we don't have. I don't think we have all of the games here because, like I said, we haven't put the Crown Haitai Cup in the calendar. We will do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that. After this podcast,
right?
Because I'm looking forward to that one. But we do have some big games.
Big games, yes.
So on Monday,
Yep.
we said we had the Judan Challenger final, Shibano
Yep.
Toramaru versus Iyama Yuta. We also have an even bigger game, the LG Cup final.
Yes.
LG Cup, like this is, world major final.
It's a big one, yes.
And it's even more spicy because Yang Dingjing is playing in it.
Yes.
And I say spicy because, Yang Dingjing has been in the news, in the past month for his controversy regarding Li Junhao.
Yeah.
Li Junhao is not playing in this final. It's Ding Hao that will be Yang Dingjing's opponent. But yes, it will still be an interesting game. I believe that Michael Redmond is planning to do some commentary on at least one of these games. So I do hope that you, if you have the time to watch his stream to get some good English language live commentary.
Yeah.
Game 2 will be on Wednesday, the 1st of February, and if there needs to be a game 3, it'll be played on the following day, the 2nd of February.
Yeah. Now, we'll just record Ding Hao. He ranked as high as number 2 in China, but had a horrid April, I believe, last year. And what's happened was that this is actually Ding Hao's first time making a final, and the last time he only got as good as, I believe, round 1 of an international tournament. So I don't think he's even made like a last 8 or something, or at least he hasn't made a last semi before making the final. So yeah, so it's gonna be a big one. Either we'll see a new world major champion, or we see Yang Dingxin bounce back. But guys, I somehow don't feel that Yang Dingxin will be able to pull through, because I think he's got too much of a psychological burden, having been banned from playing for 6 months. So that would weigh heavily on him. Wow.
But that would be disappointing, because his semi-final, his win to get to the final, is one of the greatest games of 2022.
Yeah, 100%.
So it would be disappointing for that performance to go to waste. And I think that it's really hard to know, because we haven't seen either of these players play for over a month now.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that Yang Dingjin will win. That's my opinion.
Very, very, very good. I seem to favor Ding Hao just for the reasons I mentioned, but we shall see. We shall see what happens. Gaza, I also have here highlighted that we will have the Team Taiwan appearing again in the Korean League. That's something I look forward to all the time.
Okay, who are they playing? Let me see who they're playing.
While you're checking who they're playing,
they're playing Korea Price Information.
Right. They asked if Yang Dingxin plays on Fox. I guess he does. I don't think he's banned from there. I think he's only banned in international competitions. Competitions, he might even be banned in competitions where he's playing only in his personal capacity. So meaning, he might not actually be banned in Jar League, but I'm not 100% sure about that. We'll see.
I have been told that he's not banned.
Right. Which might make sense, because obviously the number of sponsors is already not huge, and you don't want to, kind of make it a bit unfair for the sponsor having paid for Yang Dingxin and then for him not to be able to appear. But also,
by the way, Yang Dingjing and Li Junhao actually play on the same team.
Yes,
in the Jar League as well.
That actually makes it
just
worse.
Makes this thing all the more crazy, because there's clearly no team camaraderie.
No.
For some of these players.
Yeah.
But
which is a bit unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like this ban is having much effect, because it doesn't seem like any of the Chinese players are playing any games recently.
Yeah. So maybe by the time it comes out of the ban, there's no games anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Yang Dingjin is banned, yet he's still one of the first Chinese players to actually play since he got banned.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That seems to be one of the least effective bans I've ever heard of. But that it is what it is. Obviously, China is still trying to get back into regular play after all of their lockdowns.
Yeah. And guys, speaking about regular play, I have received news that League returns, the regular season return, on the 3rd of Feb. So that's right after the LG Cup final. If the final does indeed go to Game 3. So
well, you know what my opinion of that is.
You also have an opinion about it.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh yeah, good. But it is true that China have done 180 on their COVID policies, so the whole country is opening up. So
and more people are getting COVID, but it seems like not that many are getting seriously ill, which is good.
Yeah,
always good.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the JAR League return. And if it does return on the 3rd, that will be before the next podcast.
Yeah.
So we might need to put that in the calendar as well.
Yeah. And Gaza, and also the Kisei, they've liked our coverage of Game 2 so much, where we have kind of covered up to day 1 of one of the games. They decided to put the 3rd game on a Friday as well. So we can do the same thing again.
So you want to do that again? Yeah. I mean, we're recording this podcast on a Saturday.
Now that was because there's some family matters, and by the time I got home, there was still dishes that was unwashed. So by the time I finished all the housework, it'd be like 12 o'clock. So we didn't end up recording it yesterday. But we did it today.
No, that's cool. That's cool. It's just that if it may not turn out that we'll be able to record on Friday next week either. We both have our lives and we have our schedule clashes. But we'll see. I did enjoy guessing. Yeah. Trying to guess the sealed move.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind trying that again.
Yeah. So I think the Kisei they wanted us to do that again. So I guess that looks like that's the full calendar. Now Gaza. Now I'm gonna break with tradition a little bit. Usually once we cover the calendar, that's when we end our podcast. But I thought there's something that's highly worth mentioning, and it just popped into my view, and I don't know when that's happened, but might have been very, very recent. Might have just happened just then while we're talking recording this podcast. And guys, can you guess what it is?
Well, is it something about the Baduk League?
It's somewhat related, but not.
Oh no! What are you talking about? Because there's something I want to talk about as well.
It's a person whose surname starts with a C.
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna bring it out, and that is Gaza. Believe it or not, Choi Jeong has now 700 wins.
Oh wow! What?
And that just happened 5 minutes ago, according to our Weibo. So someone posted about it 5 minutes ago. I believe her victory today in the Korean League is her 700th win, and and she's holding up the prop for.
You're right.
Yeah.
She just won her 700th game. I didn't know she was on 699.
Can you believe this? Yeah.
So who did she beat? Kim Jong Un. I think that's Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. 700 wins. First, what a kind of a photo is that? First woman to win 700 games in Korea.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's really impressive. That is very impressive.
Yeah. So that just popped into my feed. So yeah, enjoy that. Guys, so there's something else that you wanted to mention, is that right?
Yes, something else. In about 1 hour, there's going to be a Korean professional playing a game on Twitch.
On Twitch.
Her name is Eunkyo.
Eunkyo, yes.
We've mentioned her briefly once before, but not in any real serious sense. But she's playing on. She's playing against someone from the Open Study Room Dan Challenge. There was a winner of the from the Open Study Room. They had a competition, and the winner is playing Do Yoon Kyo, who is a Korean professional. And that game is going to be in 1 hour. So for those of us who are watching
live,
who are watching this podcast live, it's in 1 hour.
Yep.
I'll post the link to Eunkyo's Twitch channel. There. I posted it in the chat. Now, for those who are watching this podcast after it's been recorded, it's probably already happened, this game.
Yep.
But it's... Well, what is the UTC time now? It's at 2 p.m. on Saturday.
Yep.
UTC time. That's when the game starts. So go to that Twitch page, and you'll be able to watch the game.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be cool to have a lot of viewers there. I unfortunately won't be able to view it because it's going to be 1 a.m. Where I live.
Yep.
But for those who do have the capacity and the time, I highly encourage people to go watch it. Just to support both the Open Study Room and Eunkyo. It's really good to have English speaking professionals share their wisdom with us English speaking Go enthusiasts.
Yep.
There are a few, but to have one more is always welcome. There's you can't have enough.
Can't have enough.
English content of Baduk.
Yep, 100%.
So yeah, if people want to watch that, it would be super cool. Super cool to have Eunkyo sharing her knowledge with us, and I'm sure it will be a fun game as well, especially for the winner of the Open Study Room Challenge. This is going to be a real treat for them.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, Gaza, as far as I can tell, based on the calendar, they are planning to run the JAR League from the 3rd of February. So that's still going.
Oh, that's
ahead.
Great.
So let's see if it does happen. They could cancel it 2 minutes before.
I mean, the last time they announced it on short notice, it did actually happen. They had a couple of rounds.
Yeah.
So, it's probably going to happen, and I'm looking forward to it. Yep. Looking forward to seeing, those top Korean players returning to play the Chinese powerhouses.
Yep. Looking forward to more losses from Sun So. So that's for me. Yeah.
But we're finally getting back into strong scheduling. I would like to call it.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. All right.
It's going to be busy. It's going to be a busy week. It's going to be a busy. I think we're going to get back into longer podcasts.
Yeah, it's going to be busy. Now this podcast run to 100 a minute and an hour and 47.
Well,
minutes already.
because I did ramble about the Japan major leagues and stuff like that. But
we're going to return to normal scheduling very soon because it looks like it's going to ramp up. And I think
thanks again for everyone that did tune in, even if you tuned in for just 1 minute or the whole thing. Yeah, we really do appreciate it. It's always cool to have people listening to us and and people commenting and stuff. Sharing their knowledge of the professional scene as well.
Yep, 100%. Right. And with that, Gaza, I think it's time to say goodbye for another episode.